3 years later, he would call it the best thing that ever happened to him. But on that day, it felt like the end. He sat alone in his car. The parking lot was almost empty. In his hand was a small envelope. Inside was a letter. Just one page. A few simple words. "We no longer need your services." That was all. No warning, no second chance, no plan for tomorrow, just silence. He looked through the windshield and watched people walk by. Nobody knew what had happened. Nobody knew that his world had changed in less than 5 minutes. Maybe you know that feeling. Maybe not from losing a job. Maybe from losing a relationship, a dream, a friend, your confidence, or a part of yourself that you thought would always be there. Pain arrives quietly sometimes. No loud sound, no dramatic moment, just a sentence, a phone call, a message, a goodbye. And suddenly, life feels different. Most people think pain comes to destroy them. But what if that is not true? What if pain comes with a message? What if the hardest moments of your life are not punishments? What if they are lessons? Today, we are not going to talk about avoiding pain, because nobody can avoid it forever. Instead, we are going to talk about something far more important. How pain teaches. How pain changes us. And why some of the strongest people in the world were shaped by the moments they never wanted to experience. So wherever you are right now, take a deep breath. And let's begin. Part 1. The day that changed everything. Let's go back to the man in the parking lot. At that moment, he believed he had lost something important. His job, his security, his future. What he did not know was this. Years later, if someone offered to erase that painful day from his life, he would say, no. Think about that. Why would anyone want to keep a painful memory? The answer is simple. Because some experiences hurt us. But those same experiences also shape us. Many people can remember a day that changed everything. A rejection, a failure, a disappointment, a loss. At the time, it felt unfair. It felt painful. Sometimes it even felt impossible to accept. But when they look back years later, they see something different. They see a turning point. Not because the pain was good. Pain is never comfortable. Pain is never easy. But pain has a strange way of revealing things. It reveals who stays when life becomes difficult. It reveals what truly matters. It reveals strengths that were hidden inside us. And sometimes, it reveals a completely different path. A path we never planned to take. Imagine a seed buried deep in the ground. From the outside, it looks trapped, surrounded by darkness, covered by dirt, pressed from every side. But that pressure is not destroying the seed. It is preparing it. Many people feel exactly the same way during difficult seasons of life. They think life is burying them, when in reality, life may be planting them. That does not mean every painful event has a perfect reason. Life is more complicated than that. But pain often leaves behind something valuable. Wisdom, strength, patience, humility, understanding. The problem is that we usually search for the lesson too late. We spend months asking, "Why is this happening to me?" instead of asking, "What can this teach me?" That small change can transform everything. Because the moment you become a student of pain, pain loses some of its power. You stop seeing yourself as someone being punished. You start seeing yourself as someone being prepared. And that raises an important question. If pain can teach us so much, why do we spend so much energy trying to escape it? Before we answer that question, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy thoughtful stories like this. In the next part, we will discover why the human mind naturally runs away from pain, and why that instinct may be holding us back from some of life's greatest lessons. Part 2. Why we run away from pain. Let's answer the question from the last part. If pain can teach us so much, why do we spend so much energy trying to avoid it? The answer is simple. Because we are human. Your mind is designed to protect you. For thousands of years, pain was a warning signal. Pain meant danger. Pain meant survival. So your brain learned a simple rule. Move away from what hurts. That rule can save your life, but it can also limit your growth. Think about learning something new. A new language, a new skill, a new job. In the beginning, it feels uncomfortable. You make mistakes. You feel slow. You feel embarrassed. Sometimes you feel like giving up. That discomfort is not a sign that you are failing. It is often a sign that you are growing. But many people never stay long enough to discover that. They leave too early. They quit too soon. They mistake discomfort for failure. Imagine a person learning to ride a bicycle. The first few days are difficult. They fall. They lose balance. They feel frustrated. Now imagine they decide to stop after the first fall. What happens? They never learn to ride. The fall was not the problem. Giving up was the problem. Life works in a similar way. Many of our greatest lessons arrive wearing the clothes of discomfort. That is why they are easy to reject. Nobody enjoys feeling weak. Nobody enjoys being rejected. Nobody enjoys making mistakes. But these experiences often teach us things that comfort never can. Comfort tells you what you already know. Pain shows you what you still need to learn. Think about the strongest people you know, not the richest, not the most famous. The strongest, the people who stay calm during difficult times, the people who keep moving forward when life becomes hard, the people who understand others deeply. Most of them were not created by easy days. They were shaped by challenges. They were shaped by loss. They were shaped by disappointment. And little by little, those experiences taught them something important. They learned that pain is temporary, but the lessons can last forever. That does not mean you should look for pain. Nobody needs more suffering. Life will provide enough challenges on its own. The goal is not to seek pain. The goal is to learn from it when it arrives. Because it will arrive. For everyone. The question is not whether pain will visit your life. The real question is this. When pain knocks on your door, will you only suffer from it? Or Will you learn from it? That question may change the direction of your future. And in the next part, we will explore something surprising. Some of the most important lessons in life can only be learned through pain. And once you see them, you may never look at your struggles the same way again. Part 3. The lessons comfort can never teach. Let me ask you something. Who do you become when everything is going well? Most people never think about that question. When life is easy, it is easy to feel confident. It is easy to feel strong. It is easy to believe in yourself. But what happens when things stop going your way? What happens when the plan falls apart? That is when the real test begins. Because difficult moments reveal things that comfortable moments hide. Imagine two trees. One grows in perfect weather. No strong wind, no storms, no pressure. The other tree faces heavy rain, strong wind, cold nights, difficult seasons. Which tree develops deeper roots? Usually it is the second one. The struggle forces the roots to grow deeper. People are often the same. Many of the qualities we admire most are born from struggle. Patience, courage, wisdom, resilience. These qualities rarely grow during easy times. They grow when life becomes difficult. Think about patience. Nobody learns patience while getting everything they want immediately. Patience grows while waiting, while struggling, while facing uncertainty. The same is true for courage. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is moving forward while fear is still present, and that lesson cannot be learned from comfort. But there is another lesson pain teaches. A lesson many people do not expect. Pain teaches empathy. People who have experienced hardship often understand others more deeply. They listen better. They judge less. They recognize pain in someone else's eyes. Why? Because they have felt it themselves. Their own struggles open their hearts. In this way, pain can make us stronger, but it can also make us kinder. And sometimes, kindness is a greater strength than power. Now here is something even more surprising. Many people spend years wishing they could erase their painful experiences. But if they removed those experiences, they might also remove the wisdom that came with them. The wisdom to choose better friends. The wisdom to set healthy boundaries. The wisdom to appreciate simple moments. The wisdom to keep going when life becomes difficult. Those lessons often come with a price. And pain is sometimes the price. That does not make pain good, but it does make it valuable. The challenge is that most people only see the cost. They do not see the lesson hidden inside it. Not yet, because when you are in the middle of a storm, all you can see is the rain. You cannot see how much stronger you are becoming, at least not right away. And this leads us to one of the biggest mistakes people make when they suffer. A mistake that can keep them stuck for years. In the next part, we will talk about that mistake. Because pain itself is not always what hurts us the most. Sometimes it is the story we tell ourselves about the pain. Part 4. The second pain. There is a type of pain that most people never notice. And strangely, it is often more damaging than the original pain itself. Let me explain. Imagine two people lose their jobs on the same day. Both receive the same news. Both feel disappointed. Both feel afraid. But a year later, their lives look completely different. Why? The event was the same. The difference was the story they told themselves afterward. The first person says, "I lost my job. This is difficult, but I will learn something from it." The second person says, "I lost my job because I'm not good enough. I always fail. Nothing will ever get better." Do you see the difference? The first person feels pain. The second person feels pain too. But they also add something else. A painful story. A story that keeps hurting them long after the event is over. This is what we can call the second pain. The first pain is what happened. The second pain is the meaning we attach to it. And often, the second pain lasts much longer. A rejection becomes, "Nobody will ever love me." One mistake becomes, "I am a failure." One bad year becomes, "My future is ruined." Little by little, the mind builds a prison, not from facts, but from conclusions. And the strange thing is this: many of these conclusions are never questioned. People repeat them so often that they begin to believe them. But believing something does not make it true. Think about your own life. Have you ever looked back at a problem that once felt enormous? At the time, it seemed impossible. You thought everything was over. Yet somehow, you survived. You adapted. You moved forward. Maybe the pain did not disappear completely, but you became stronger than the pain. That happens more often than we realize. The human mind is powerful, but it can work for us or against us. When pain arrives, we cannot always control the event. We cannot control every loss, every disappointment, every difficult moment. But we can control the story we build around it. And that story matters. Because the story becomes the lens through which we see our future. If the story says, "My life is over," you stop looking for opportunities. If the story says, "This chapter is difficult, but it is not the end," you keep moving. You keep learning. You keep growing. That small difference can change an entire life. Now here is the part most people never expect. Some of the greatest transformations begin at the exact moment a person stops asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and starts asking, "What can I become because of this?" That question changes everything, because it shifts your focus from the wound to the growth, from the loss to the lesson, from the past to the future. And once that shift happens, something remarkable begins. Pain stops being only a memory. It becomes fuel. But how do ordinary people turn pain into fuel? How do they transform suffering into strength? That is exactly what we will explore next. Because this is where the real transformation begins. Part 5. Turning pain into fuel. Not everyone becomes stronger after pain. That may sound surprising, but it is true. Some people experience pain and become bitter. Others experience pain and become better. So, what creates the difference? It is not intelligence. It is not luck. It is not talent. The difference is what they do next. Let me tell you a simple truth. Pain, by itself, changes nothing. A difficult experience does not automatically make someone wiser. It does not automatically make someone stronger. The lesson only appears when a person is willing to face it. Think about a scar. Almost everyone has one. Maybe on their body, maybe in their heart. Every scar tells a story of something that hurt. But a scar also tells another story, a story of healing. Because a scar is proof that you survived something. You were hurt, but you remained. You fell, but you got back up. And sometimes we forget that. We focus so much on what we lost that we forget to notice what we gained. The courage we gained, the wisdom we gained, the strength we gained, the patience we gained. Many years ago, a man planted 2 pieces of bamboo. Every day he watered both of them. Every day he cared for them. After a few months, one plant began to grow. The other showed nothing. Weeks passed, then months. Still nothing. Most people would have stopped. Most people would have assumed the second plant was dead. But beneath the ground, something important was happening. Roots were growing. Roots that nobody could see. Roots that would support future growth. Pain often works the same way. When you are struggling, it can feel like nothing is improving. You work hard, you stay patient, you keep moving forward. Yet you see no results, no reward, no progress. At least not on the surface. But beneath the surface, something is happening. You are developing emotional strength. You are learning resilience. You are becoming someone who can handle greater challenges. The growth is real, even when it is invisible. That is why some of life's most important progress cannot be measured immediately. And maybe you need to hear this today. Just because you cannot see growth does not mean growth is not happening. Just because life feels difficult does not mean you are moving backward. Some of your deepest growth may be taking place right now. Quietly, slowly, one lesson at a time. The strongest people are not always the people who never struggle. Often, they are the people who refuse to quit during the struggle. The people who kept walking through uncertainty. The people who continued even when nobody was cheering for them. Maybe that describes you. Maybe you are carrying a burden that nobody else can see. Maybe you are fighting a battle that nobody else understands. If so, remember this. You do not need to have everything figured out today. You only need to take the next step. Then the next one. And then another. Because strength is rarely built in one dramatic moment. It is built in thousands of small decisions to keep going. And that brings us to a powerful realization. What if the most painful chapter of your life is not the end of your story? What if it is the chapter that prepares you for everything that comes next? In the final part, we will explore that possibility. And it may completely change the way you look at your future. Part 6. The day you finally understand. Let's return to the man sitting alone in the parking lot. The man from the beginning of our story. Remember him? The envelope in his hand. The empty feeling in his chest. The fear of not knowing what would happen next. On that day, he believed he was losing control of his life. But years later, he realized something important. That day did not destroy his future. It redirected it. The job he lost forced him to learn new skills. The uncertainty forced him to become more resourceful. The struggle forced him to grow in ways he never would have chosen. And eventually, he arrived somewhere better. Not because life became easy, but because he became stronger. This is something many people discover only after looking back. Life often makes sense in reverse. While we are living through pain, we see confusion. We see obstacles. We see disappointment. But years later, we sometimes see connections. We see how one difficult moment prepared us for another opportunity. We see how one closed door led us toward a better one. We see how one painful season taught us lessons that success never could. That does not mean every painful event has a clear explanation. Some losses will always hurt. Some questions may never be fully answered. And that is part of being human. But even when life does not give us all the answers, we still have a choice. We can allow pain to define us, or we can allow it to develop us. That choice matters, because pain is a visitor. It arrives, it stays for a while, and eventually, it leaves. But the person you become during that time can remain forever. Think about your own journey, not just the happy moments, the difficult ones too, the days when you felt lost, the times you failed, the moments when you wanted to quit, the nights when you wondered if things would ever get better. You survived those moments. You are still here. And that fact alone says something important about you. You are stronger than you think. Not perfect, not fearless, not invincible. Just stronger than you realize. Many people spend years waiting for life to become easier. But perhaps a better goal is this. Become stronger than the challenges you face. Because life will always bring new difficulties, new obstacles, new uncertainties. That is true for everyone. But every challenge also brings an opportunity to learn, an opportunity to grow, an opportunity to become a wiser version of yourself. And maybe that is the lesson pain has been trying to teach all along. Not that life is unfair, not that suffering is good, but that growth often hides inside struggle. That strength is often built in difficult seasons, and that some of the most valuable lessons in life arrive wrapped in experiences we never asked for. One day you may look back on a painful chapter of your life, a chapter that feels heavy today, a chapter that still hurts when you think about it. And you may finally understand something that seems impossible to see right now. The pain was real, the tears were real, the struggle was real, but so was the growth, so was the strength, so was the person you became because of it. And when that day comes, you may discover a truth that changes everything. Pain was never your enemy. It was your teacher. Before we say goodbye, I want to leave you with one final thought. Right now, somewhere in the world, someone is celebrating a victory. And somewhere else, someone is facing a painful setback. That is life. No one escapes every storm, No one avoids every disappointment. No one walks through life without scars. But perhaps the goal was never to avoid pain completely. Perhaps the goal is to become the kind of person who can learn from it. The kind of person who can keep moving forward, even when the road is uncertain. The kind of person who refuses to let a difficult chapter become the entire story. If you are going through a hard time today, remember this. You do not need to be fearless. You do not need to have all the answers. You do not need to know exactly what comes next. You only need enough courage to take one more step. Sometimes that is enough. Sometimes one small step becomes a new direction, and a new direction becomes a new life. Years from now, you may look back at this season and see something you cannot see today. You may see lessons where you once saw only pain. You may see growth where you once saw only struggle. You may see strength where you once saw only weakness. Until then, be patient with yourself. Give yourself time. Growth is often quiet. Healing is often slow. And some of life's greatest lessons reveal themselves only after the hardest days have passed. Thank you for spending this time with me. Take care of yourself. Keep learning. Keep growing. And wherever your journey leads, may you always find the wisdom hidden inside the challenges you face. Until next time, remember, the strongest people are not those who never suffer. They are the ones who continue to move forward, one step at a time. And that is more than enough.